to go. Everybody, we are leaving Utah today and heading towards Colorado Springs. Tonight we're going to do a quick stop at a Harvest Toast distillery, which we're looking forward to having a nice tasting, and then we'll spend the next few days in Colorado Springs. So thanks for coming along. Coming into our Harvest Toast for the night, Stoneyard Distillery in Gypsum, Colorado.
Right along the Colorado River, right?
Yeah.
The river's right over there.
Next to the Colorado River.
All right, we're gonna do a little experiment. I think we've done this once before, where we don't unhook the truck. And so, just gonna check the level here, but that way we can get out quickly in the morning. All right. Let's see, info. That's not bad.
What does it say?
It's only minus 0.4, and I'm gonna lift that up a little bit.
Okay.
And it's minus 0.7 side to side. So I can fix that.
Okay. All
right, we pulled it off. It's actually pretty easy to level this and get the ball loose on the.
We're still hooked up to the truck, but we did a little bit of leveling, and we put the slides out. 10 minutes, we're done.
The only thing I have to worry about is we don't want to strain and stress the ball, but we also don't want to keep the RV compressing the suspension of the truck. So we brought it up enough so the suspension was free, and then it just started to be free on the ball before it started pulling the ball up. So we stopped there, and then we tweaked the level, and it works great.
Awesome. We have a beautiful view. Let's go do a tasting. Just got done with our tasting here at the Harvest House. I believe this is the most expensive Harvest House that we have ever stayed at, but we did take the opportunity to restock our pantry bar, so we are full up now. And by the way, when we first got here, we realized that the fridge was not running. Usually it runs off of the batteries in the front of our RV, and it was like 57 degrees in there in the fridge, so we went and checked the inverter that is in the storage bay, and it was on, but the GCFI plug had been tripped, so the plug wasn't actually working. So we need to be a lot better at checking that when we stop for gas, maybe, and at rest stops, just to make sure that the fridge is actually running. But we put it on the power freeze now, and it seems fine.
Well, we've now gone up higher into where the snow cap was.
Today we're driving through the Rocky Mountains for real to Denver.
And those snow caps we were seeing, we've now come up to that height. So we're starting to see. I think it snowed a little bit overnight in some of these places too. Yeah, we've climbed a little bit, so we're at our highest point I think so far. That is a shiny new trailer right there. It's gonna have the stickers on it.
We've seen a few new trailers now. It's April, so the summer RV people are starting to move.
Keep climbing up into the snow belt here.
Oh my gosh. We just drove instantly from spring to winter.
We're going to be back down in spring pretty quickly as well, I think.
Later today.
Not Not long lived. Passing through.
Got the flashers on going through Vale Pass.
We are burning some diesel too.
Is this the first time we've ever driven the rig through snow like this? I think so.
Where there's snow around us.
Yeah, like this much snow on the ground and on the roads. Well, we just crossed the Vale Summit sign, elevation 10,600 feet. This is definitely the highest we've ever been.
Oh, it's snow bikes.
We came through the tunnel, now we're out of the snow.
Mm-hmm.
Time for a little rest break, because that was a little tense.
We're coasting now too, so getting back a little bit of our fuel mileage.
Yikes, look at our poor truck and rig. Oh, it's just covered in mud. Yuck. We need a bath bad. I don't know when that's gonna happen. Gross. Yuck.
We haven't keep up on our stickers. We gotta
Yeah, I
do
know,
this
we got
one.
some stickers put on
We
there.
gotta do this one, and now we're about to do this one. We gotta replace our
Some of our little ones are falling off, so we
the
gotta...
oldest ones. We got another set to replace it with. Perfect.
Well, you can definitely tell that we're getting more north because it is chilly and rainy here in Colorado Springs. We are checked into our campground, and just a half a mile down the road is the Garden of the Gods, and I'm not even sure what this is. It's some sort of park, but I don't know if it's national park or state park or independently run. We're just gonna head into the visitor center now to check it out and see if we want to come back on a different day that's maybe nicer weather to do a little hike or something. So it turns out that the Garden of the Gods is actually a city park. It was deeded to the city of Colorado Springs in 1909 by the family who owned this land. And it's not a very big park. There's some really striking red rock formations that come up right in the middle of the park. And then that's kind of surrounded by some hiking trails and some other rock formations a little bit farther outside. So it really and this visitor center is amazing. It's got a big animal display and all kinds of things to read. So it really feels almost like a national park, but I read on one of the plaques that it was TripAdvisor's #1 city park in the country, and I can definitely see that. It is really well put together. The stipulation that the family who deeded the land, they made a rule that the park had to remain free for all the people of the world forever. So it's free to come in here and free to drive around. What a lovely park. So even though the weather is a little sketchy today, we are still going to drive through the park because there's a nice driving loop and we can see most of the rocks. And we're going to go over to the trading post on the other side. So if we decide that we want to come back and do a hike later, we can, but at least we'll see it all today. And we're only here for 3 days, so we really want to jam in as much as possible, and I don't want to say, oh, we'll just come back later, because what if we don't come back later? So we'll see it all today. Wow, the trading post here at the Garden of the Gods is enormous, and they've got little gift shop things and really nice art pieces. We're stopping for a little lunch here in Old Colorado City. Some nice pizza and fries at Mother Muff's, which looks like it used to be an old saloon, maybe. And then we're gonna walk around the old town. Walking around downtown Old Colorado City, I thought this was just the old part of Colorado Springs, but it turns out this was the original city in 1859 that was the first capital of Colorado, and then later the capital got moved over to Colorado Springs. So they've preserved this kind of old downtown here. We were reading that it used to be mostly bars and saloons and kind of party town for the gold rush people. And then after the gold rush ended, and Prohibition shut down all the bars, then the town merged with Colorado Springs. So we had a nice lunch, and now we're gonna head over to a little museum that has some miniatures and looks kind of quirky, so you know how we love that. If you missed our Tucson, Arizona video where we went to the miniatures museum, that was awesome. Go back and check that out. So Magic Town is the museum of Michael Garman's sculptures. He was a local artist. I don't know too much about him, but the woman said that he just died in October. So these are all of his creations, and I guess he specialized in doing very realistic scenes, and each building has a bit of magic in it. So if we look into the windows, we can see some different magical things going on. But the detail on these things is amazing. So in some parts there's multiple scenes, the same scene but just expanded a little bit. So Leroy and Bertha's Bar and Grill, here's the guy standing in the doorway. And the next one is added a window, still with the guy in the door. This one adds another guy.
And look, they've got a gas utility installed.
Yeah. This one's much taller.
They have the full.
And then this one has the magic in it. So here's the sculptor, Michael Garman. He's explaining how his system of mirrors works so that you can see around corners and down. And there's me.
Good night and good luck.
So wait, so here I am.
Okay.
I'm gonna look down here.
And you're gonna look down here.
Then I see you.
But then the mirrors show him down there, down the alley. And there's me. So you can see that he's creating these alleyways with the mirror. The mirror's right here. And then it's reflecting what's around the corner. And it makes it look like a really great deep perspective.
I can just see myself as a good person. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Wow.
That was one of the most unique things I've ever seen.
Another RV full-timer find. That's right up there with the Tucson Miniatures
Yep.
Museum. That was fascinating. And that it was one artist made that special a different way. Like the miniature stuff was very cool in Tucson, but this was like a whole guy's life and art form. And what was that phrase? Theatrical sculpture. That was how he described it.
You just keep looking at it and looking at it. You could never take it all in. There was so much.
In that little newspaper article, he said a farmer came up to him and said, "I hate art, but I like your stuff. I love this." He said at first, "I didn't know what to think about that." Then I decided I liked it. He said something like people will look at a piece of art for a few seconds. This one, his stuff, they'll stare at for 45 minutes, then come back and look at it some more another time. It was really cool.
Well worth a stop. So I'm sure you've all heard of Pikes Peak. It's a 14,000 plus foot mountain here in Colorado Springs, and it's kind of the most well known because when you come across the United States from east to west and you come across the prairies in the Midwest, Pikes Peak is the first part of the Rockies that you will meet coming across there. So if you've ever flown into Denver, you know that when you fly into the airport there, you can see the big wall of the Rockies right behind the city. It's fascinating to see. So there is a driving road all the way up to the top of Pikes Peak called the Pikes Peak Highway. We are driving up it now, but it's almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I think we are not going to be allowed in here because it's takes about an hour to drive to the top, and by the time we got up there it would be closed. And it's also, there's a fee to drive the highway at some point here, and I think it's $35 a car. So
Or $10 a person, whichever's cheaper.
we're just coming up here to see what we can see, not necessarily to go to the top. If we were going to be here for longer, we would definitely do it. But tomorrow there's supposed to be a huge windstorm coming through. We definitely don't want to be at the top of Pikes Peak in 75-mile-an-hour gusts. You may have heard Pikes Peak referred to as a 14er. There are 96 mountain peaks in the United States that are over 14,000 feet tall. And there's a group of climbers whose goal is to climb the 14,000 foot mountains, and they're called the 14ers. And 53 of the 14ers are in the state of Colorado. And I think there's 22 or 23 in Alaska, and then a few other ones scattered around the Northwest. So we're at the gate now. Yeah, all the gates are closed. So we won't be going up today, but just wanted to at least come and see the foothills of it. They have just finished building a brand new summit center up at the top. That's a big visitor center and restaurants and stuff. So that will be a nice feature too if you're coming here in the future and you want to go to the top of the mountain. Here's a great view of Pikes Peak from Garden of the Gods. We drove back over here because we're going to do a little walk, and you can see the peak really nicely today. I was reading that a woman named Catherine Bates in 1893 climbed to the top of Pikes Peak, and while she was up there, a poem came to her mind about the beauty of America and the plains and the trees and the forests and the seas, and she wrote the poem America the Beautiful, and which was later set to music and is one of my favorite patriotic songs, Oh Beautiful for Spacious Skies. Wow, I can hardly get this whole rock in my viewfinder. We came back down here to the Garden of the Gods to do the Central Garden Pathway walk through the middle of the park here. That's really impressive. This rock right here is called the Kissing Camels Rock. Can you see it? I'll zoom in a little bit.
Sun's even brighter, huh?
Yeah. What a beautiful walk. It's the nicest city park I've ever seen.
What do you think? I think that might be the most picturesque walk we've done in our RVing. It's in the top 3.
Definitely top 3. Good view of Pikes Peak from our RV park. Garden of the Gods RV Resort. Just a half a mile from the Garden of the Gods Park. This is a great location, campground.
Have we been in a urban setting RV park before?
Las Vegas.
Yes, this is nicer.
Look, you can see Pikes Peak and our RV right in the same shot. Pretty nice view. So this Garden of the Gods RV park is not 1,000 trails, the first non-1,000 trails or non-RPI that we've stayed in for quite a while. And we are only staying here because we had a credit. Last year when we were in Arkansas for the Van Lee Rally, we left that park early, and it was an RVC outdoors park. And they gave us a credit because we had prepaid. So we had 3 nights that we could use at an RVC park, and there's only like 8 or 9 of those parks around the country, and one of them was here in Colorado Springs. So we were just trying to use up this credit, and we said, when we go back east, let's stop in Colorado Springs, and then we can use that up. It's in a nice area. So that worked out really well. We got this place for free for a few nights. Well, on a credit. We paid for it at some point.
We paid for it a long time ago.
Yeah. But it's very, very nice here. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. Have a great week. Bye.